Okay, welcome back to Skin and Shorts, episode number 55. What's a good 5-5 for you?
I can't drive 55, man.
I live right off of Interstate 55. You can almost see it from here.
And it's really close.
So there's no other 55?
You tell me. I don't.
The Sammy Hagar thing is probably as good as we're going to get.
I love that. I mean, it's just 55 last year, so I was all about I can't drive 55.
You're 55?
I'm 56 now, so.
You're a young guy. Young guy. Anyway, tonight's another special show because we're going to bring out our friend, Kent Griffith.
KG, man. We got the KG signal in the air.
Yep. So, all right. Let's go ahead and dial him up, okay? Okay, we're back here with Kent. The title of tonight's episode is in 1990, Lynyrd Skynyrd, I'm going to say tribute demos, tapes that no one's ever really heard. Is that right?
Well, they've been heard by, they've been out there for a little bit.
Yeah, not many Skynyrd fans like us know much about it. So what can you tell us about it?
Well, this is when the band was changing from a tribute tour band and trying to transition into becoming a new Lynyrd Skynyrd. They were obviously seeking a contract with Atlantic Records, and these were some, sample demo recordings of the basically the 1987-88 tribute tour band went into the Muscle Shoals studio to record these. And it's one of the great last true Skynyrd recordings, and it's crystal clear, CD quality right out of the studio from a band member, anonymously. And it's a great recording,
So what's the personnel? What's the lineup?
Well, it was, Artemis, Leon, Billy, Ed, Randall, Gary. Did I miss anybody?
And there's not any vocals except that one track.
John, yeah.
But Alan's playing on it, right?
And you also hear a female
No, Alan?
vocal there on
He's
that
paralyzed.
song, too.
Oh, so Alan was okay. He couldn't play.
Yeah, Alan didn't play anymore.
He was done.
At the time that these are being recorded, Alan was in the hospital, probably, it's towards the end when he would, very close to when he died. These are being recorded.
Yeah, sad time for sure.
Definitely.
So they have these recordings, and we talked earlier, and you mentioned that if you were going to put together some demos for a record contract, is this what you would submit? And I said probably not.
Well, as I understood it, Atlantic wanted a piece of the Skynyrd sales pie, and so the contract was all but assured. It's not like the band had to sell themselves, to get the recording contract to Atlantic Records. So it's my opinion that, and this, I think this is why you hear that joke of a vocal track that's right in the middle of it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's not a song you'd want to hand to record label executives, but more or less these demos were so that Atlantic could hear what that band was going to sound like, because all of the tracks are instrumental. It's the band shining through. It's awesome that way. It's really a powerful Skynyrd recording. It's the last of its kind. I'm glad it exists,
Was Atlantic knew, all right, the tour was blowing up. All right, Tribute Tour did great things for the band. But, they couldn't, did they think they couldn't live on playing old Skynyrd songs?
What I saw happening was that it was supposed to be a temporary tribute band, but there came a time when they had a band vote and some wanted to continue on and some didn't. So there, a rift, I guess, was happening right there.
Yeah, I think Ed was in the middle of that, wasn't he?
Yeah. Larkin managed it up until that point, Alan went around on the road with him, and some in the band really didn't want Alan, to be out there, I guess, following them around. It was quite expensive to do that, so they're like, you can go home, Alan, we can take it from here, and there was a dividing line in there for sure,
And in 1990, they were going to be called Lynyrd Skynyrd?
We see Alan, he said that he didn't want, and this is something he told to me at the time, is he didn't want bands to go to a record store and look in a Skynyrd record bin and see two different bands under the same name of Lynyrd Skynyrd. You know, he called it product confusion, and this was also brought up in Judy's 1988 lawsuit, you know, against Gary Ross and Company, you know, for product confusion as well. So Alan made them have a clause on the name. So it was when they left the tribute tour, it became Lynyrd Skynyrd 1990. Then it was Lynyrd Skynyrd 1991, and it even actually went into 1992. I saw merchandise that had been, you know, made that said Lynyrd Skynyrd 92 on it. So at least it went that far. And, you know, Alan died in 1990, but Larkin obviously made a deal, and you know, Gary could go on as Lynyrd Skynyrd on its own with the Alan Collins clause removed from the name.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? How they went about it?
You know, Lee Skynyrd was born, you know, right at the time Alan was leaving this world, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I saw it, you know?
I just don't think there was a lot of respect out there between the members. I don't know. It just sounds goofy.
You know, it's a shame that there was, you know, a lot of division, yeah.
For the 1990 recordings, had they picked a vocalist?
What do you mean Johnny was there?
Johnny, he's done on these demos, though.
That's true. That's why I said they're unique, you know? I mean, they weren't trying to sell themselves for the record contract. I think it was more or less just to let the record company hear what the band sounded like, more or less.
And the band sounds great.
They do, but it's kind of surprising that other track is in there, you know, especially with some of the content of the lyrics, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that, totally. Because there's some good sounding music.
It is. It's great, you know.
Do you know who wrote the music?
No, not at all.
No idea.
Mm-mm.
I know there's some stuff that sounds like I hear some Gary in there. A couple of songs.
You can hear it all. It's well mixed and well recorded and crystal clear. That, you know, rhythm section between Artemis and Leon, you know, was unique, and this is the last of it right here.
And they were unbelievable together for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Leon was so much more. And Artemis, they were just collectively, them two were just amazing.
Absolutely.
Anything else you can tell us about this time period?
I think we ought to just leave it right there.
Good stopping place.
That sounds good. So we're going to play some of these songs right now to finish out the show. Kent,
Good.
great having you on. I appreciate everything you've done for us, buddy.
Thanks. You have a great night, guys.
Love you, man.
Thank you. Thank you much.
Yeah,
Bye. So that was Kent, Cagey's Corner. And let's play some of these songs, Joe.
I mean, this can be unbelievable to hear these.
All right, we're going to play them right now. Okay, what you think about that?
This is Lynyrd Skynyrd. This is the sound that everybody wanted to have.
It is Lynyrd Skynyrd
And
without Ronnie. I kind of like it without vocals, really.
But this is their sound. Their instruments aren't. The way they work together is amazing.
And like KG said, this is the last real recording of Ronnie Van Zant's selected rhythm section of Artemis and Leon. The last time those two guys would play together, or record together anyway.
It's a time. It's a time, you know, that we love to have.
Yeah.
A sound bite from this is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you again, Kent, for jumping on the show and sharing this stuff with us. And as always, let's hear what y'all think about in the comments. Any other information you can add. Anybody can get Jeff Carlisi on the show. I appreciate it.
We love all these guys.
Someday we're gonna have a show where we just talk about who we'd love to interview.
All these players that we love to have around, right?
Yeah. Carlisi. Who else?
I'd love to have Artemis Powell.
Yeah, Artemis would be good on the show. Anyway, we'll do that one other day. So until next time, we'll see you here again on Skynyrd Shorts, Joe. Anything else?
We love Kent, we love Skynyrd, and we just keep on talking about it. Thank you.
Thank you all of y'all for the comments too. I look forward to it. Until next time, we'll see you here on Skynyrd Shorts.